The Cellcast is recorded in front of a live streaming audience.
Hello and welcome to another episode of The Cellcast. Joining me today is a man who, well, he's feeling a little fuzzy lately. Welcome, Jacob.
Yeah, it's just that little fuzz behind your ears gets really annoying.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like that big fluffy tail. Oh my God, it's still there. Other than that, I'm doing swell. Why, thank you. Let me introduce our co-host, a man who just got excited because there's a kaiju in the movie.
And it's her mother.
It's her mother.
Which I was not expecting. So yeah, this is Drew. You never said my name.
That is true. That is Jacob. That is true.
I would ask a trivia question, but I never posted it.
Shame.
I don't know. That may be something I drop because as interesting as it is, I keep forgetting to do it. And some weeks it's hard to come up with trivia for this sort of thing.
That is true.
Honestly, I don't even remember if I asked a trivia question last week since we had some of those issues with D-Lit and her recording.
I honestly don't remember
today. So yeah, we just don't have a Turning Red one other than, well, a simple one. Why did this movie not get released in theaters? We don't know.
Thanks, Disney.
And COVID.
Yeah.
Disney and COVID. I guess together that would be Dovid.
Yeah, Dovid.
I don't like that.
No.
Anyway, so kind of trying to kill time until the intro stops.
Yeah. It's a long intro.
Yeah. Well, usually we have some stuff to talk about here. How are you doing, by the way?
Man, I'm doing pretty good. Work has been work. Happy 4th of July. That was the day prior to us recording. So happy 4th of July to all of our American friends.
And we apologize for picking such a bad movie last week to celebrate the 4th of July with.
Indeed. And we will do our due diligence to do better next time.
Exactly.
But doing very well. It was a good weekend. Me and my girlfriend hung out and went to church, worked, just drew and watched television on 4th of July, being honest. Which is not a bad thing. Sometimes you just want to do things by yourself.
That's fair.
Yeah. And today, I had a coworker who passed out and bumped his head. There was an ambulance called, and apparently he came back and got his vehicle. Don't know what happened. I'll probably figure that out tomorrow.
Well, considering the temperature today,
yeah,
I can kind of guess he may have got dehydrated,
possibly,
if he wasn't drinking enough water. But anyway,
yeah. So yeah, that's been my day in a nutshell. I got home, I started doing notes for the podcast, and got done in a barely decent hour.
Yeah, this was an easy one to research compared to last week.
True.
But anyway.
Yeah. We also did something with Retro Rewind.
I was going to bring that up here in a bit, but yeah, we are on one of their backup episodes that will get played eventually. After their other backup episode he forgot he had recorded gets played, probably. But whoops, it'll happen.
So yeah,
we'll post that when he shares it eventually.
True. So how are you doing, Drew?
Fair to middling. I had a nice restful weekend. Got a little bit of work done on our on my side project that's released to the main RSS feed of Untangling Kingdom Hearts, which for some reason I keep wanting to call Understanding Kingdom Hearts, but that's not as creative a name as Untangling, so
true.
Not going there, even though I accidentally did that when I first posted episode 0. Anyway,
yeah, I did listen to I think I listened to most of it. It sounded really, really good.
Yeah, I got it. All that episode 0 though is just me introducing what the franchise is.
Yeah.
The next episode that's coming out, well, as of this recording tomorrow, for everyone listening earlier this week, I'll be starting Unchained Key or Union Cross or whatever we're calling it this time because it's got 3 different names for reasons.
Yeah.
But introducing that, I actually thought for that first one on that one, I was going to actually just do a scene, but I got to realizing, oh, look, I'm already at 15 minutes. Time to cut here. we'll get to the next one next time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean I'm enjoying doing that.
Okay.
That was some fun. But Jacob, I have a question for you, sir.
What have you been watching?
Oh, okay. So what have I been watching? Well, let me get the pull.
Besides cartoon All Stars to the Rescue.
Yes.
Which is what we did for Retro Rewind.
Yes, that was absolutely one of the funnest episodes we've done with Retro.
Mm-hmm. And I'm looking forward to that one actually getting released.
Yes. That was an interesting story behind that.
Yeah, because it was all last minute.
It was an all last minute thing because me and Drew...
Like literally, I got off work, hadn't checked my phone all day.
Mm-hmm.
I get out to the truck, I get it cranked, let the AC start coming in before I try to bake myself in the truck.
Yeah.
I look down at my phone, and I see a note from Paul or someone that their episode that they were going to record that night was postponed. I'm thinking, oh, that's a shame. So then I drove home.
Yeah.
Or I drove to Tyler because I was hungry for chicken. And I get parked, and I look down at my phone again, because I was going to get ready to find the book I was going to read while I was eating.
Right.
And there was a link on Discord on our network, on our network's Discord private group that said, hey, we're recording a backup episode tonight. Who wants to jump in? And before I could ask, someone else had asked, well, what are y'all reviewing? And they said, Cartoon All Stars to the Rescue. And before I even talked to you, I said, I am there. And then a couple seconds later, I thought, I need to ask Jacob about this. Hey, like it artist, are you there? Are you up for this? And then I went about eating and reading a book. And right before I left the restaurant, I thought, I bet Discord doesn't always notify Jacob when people call him on stuff, because I know he doesn't use it that often. Right. So I texted you and said, check Discord.
Yeah, because so going back on my end, be like, I'm getting off work, and I noticed Discord said something, but I didn't understand what it was because I didn't have the full context. And then I get yours says, check Discord. And I read it, and I was like, you're kidding me.
Yeah.
Because actually, a couple of months prior, almost like Providence,
we talked about doing it.
We actually talked about it at one point. And
we'll have to do it at some point for our own pickup episode, which at some point, me and you do need to get together and record another batch of backup episodes, because we have a grand total of 1 Looney Virus left.
Yeah, I might want to fill those up.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, this was a blast and a half to do. Definitely get to hang out again with Francisco and Paul. PaulJPowers.com,
who is currently in our chat room.
Hey,
Hi,
Paul.
Paul.
Hi, Paul. But yeah, that was a blast and a half to do.
And I think that was the first time I had actually seen it. Definitely since 1990.
Yeah,
maybe period, because I vaguely remember parts of this because. It's a bit of a fever dream, especially when you're 5.
When
it would have come out for us.
Agreed.
But that is a trip and a half. That thing is.
It is. Completely agreed. On Saturday, me and my girlfriend hung out, and of all movies, we watched Independence Day.
Makes sense.
From 1995.
You're only 2 days out from Independence Day.
That is true.
Right weekend.
That is so true. Hold on, give me a second. Who's the director of that film?
Roland Emmerich.
Roland Emmerich, master of disaster movies.
the great Roland Emmerich, famous for such cinematic masterpieces as 2012, The Day After Tomorrow, and of course the 98 Godzilla movie.
Roar.
That's a lot of fish.
that is a lot of fish. I have fond memories of that Godzilla movie.
It's a fun movie, but it's like, okay, yeah, this has issues. But I've seen Godzilla movies from Toho that had worse issues. So,
all right. So, let's see. I watched a little bit of Ultimate Spider-Man on Disney Plus. That's always fun.
Yes,
because it takes more of the again. Ultimate Universe version of Spider-Man. It literally just cranks up how Spider-Man would talk to people.
Right.
It's this quirky, like, what is the word? Snarky. That's the word I'm looking for. Snarky.
Sassy.
Snarky. Sassy. Whatever.
Sarcastic.
Yes. All good words, all good adjectives.
I can get out of thesaurus and see how many other S words mean the same thing.
So while I was doing my notes, I had this itch and I was like, wait a minute, I haven't seen this in a while. So I pull up the Hulu app, and I watched the original Thundercats.
Okay.
Yeah. So I've watched, I think season 2, I think, but it's still good to watch. And sometimes I'm more like, I'm watching this and it's okay. Lion-O becomes the Lord of the Thundercats by proxy, pretty much.
Right.
And he grows into a man, but he still has a child's mentality. And the entire time, everyone's just giving him free reign to do whatever he wants, and he gets in trouble, and he can't defend himself worth a darn, and he has to call the other Thundercats to bail him out every single time. I remember, like, up to season 2, they were still doing it. I was like, is Lion-O ever going to do anything by himself?
All I remember about the original Thundercats, because I was a little old, or I was a little young for that show when it was out.
Right.
By the time I would have gotten old enough, it was not on anymore.
Right.
So the only time I actually saw Thundercats was when it was on Cartoon Network in like the late 90s in the Toonami block before they filled it with anime.
Right.
And I just remember there was an episode I caught, like I happened to turn it on while the show was on. And Lion-O is talking to some future woman. I don't remember who it was. It says, I really like this new technology you have. What is it called again? Soap?
Oh yeah, that's the police, the intergalactic police enforcer.
Yeah, it's like the Thundercats don't have soap. This raises questions I don't really want answers to.
That is
like, how do they clean themselves? Do they clean themselves like cats do? And thank you for never animating that.
Oh my gosh, that would have been kind of nightmarish.
Yes.
To say that.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
But anyway.
Yeah. It's like, last week's episode was interesting. Let's say that. Yeah, very, very interesting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Deedlet.
Okay. So I stumbled because Facebook is great for finding things.
Yeah.
So I found this podcast called Truth Over Tribe. And it's two pastors talking theology or Christian theology, and it's just very well done. The one I listened to, it was about politics and like taking a side and politically and making that more of the point of a message or something like that, rather than speaking what the truth of what the text is trying to tell you. Context is everything. And I found it very interesting. Definitely when you go into politics, you go into there again. We're not going to go into politics in this show,
right?
It's a very interesting podcast. I would highly recommend it if you're interested in understanding more about theology. And I just found it was like, wow, this is really good. And thought I would recommend it.
Okay.
Other than that, YouTube, like just watching YouTube, and I just feel like I there again, I get into a lot of like history podcasts and history this and history that and history this, whatever. But other than that, it's pretty good. Had to pay my rent.
Well, yes,
that's always
first of the month.
Yeah, exactly. So what have you been watching, listening to, or playing?
Well, outside of Cartoon All-Stars to the rescue.
Yes.
And then brain just farted.
It's never good. Never good.
I actually finished one of the longest games I've ever played in my life.
Really?
According to howlongtobeat.com, the game is 143 hours.
Whoa.
I beat it in 122.
Whoa.
Because I was playing on easy mode.
Whoa.
Specifically the easiest mode.
Wow.
So, and there are still some tough parts in there just because of the way the mechanics of those things are built in. But I beat Persona 5 Royal, and I didn't just beat it, I platinumed it.
Wow. Congratulations.
which for those who don't know, on PlayStation, when you get all the little trophies they hand you, they give you another trophy that's the platinum level trophy. So yeah, I pulled that off.
Wow.
It's taken me 2 years
Wow.
to pull that off. So yeah,
Congrats.
there is that. Other than that, I've been watching YouTube channels.
Nice.
A little bit of Retro's Saturday Adventure Saturday. Just a little bitty things here and there.
Yeah.
Keep me busy.
Good.
Nothing too. I mean, admittedly, now that I've got the secondary project, I've got even a little bit less time now. But along with actually watching the cutscenes for Kingdom Hearts Union Cross on my phone,
Yeah.
for that, I am also watching Playframes Let's Play of Union Cross when the game was still live,
Nice.
because I realized 2 episodes into recording for the gameplay that I was missing a lot of context,
Gotcha.
to the point where I wondered, am I watching is the list I'm going off of these cutscene orders being wrong? Or did they leave some stuff out? And yeah, they left some stuff out. Mostly it's like, here's why what's going on the screen is happening. Which is like, that's kind of the information I need to know at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Why did you make this hard to understand, Square Enix? But anyway.
Right.
So yeah, now I'm watching 2 things because I've got to keep up with both, because I'm going to be reviewing going forward. I'm going to say, here's where the game tells you, and then here's what you missed, kind of a thing.
Gotcha.
It's going to be kind of silly, but that's how I'm doing that. And other than that, I've mostly just been, like I said, I've mostly just been watching YouTube.
Okay.
I have gotten into playing City Skylines, which might be a mistake.
Cities Skyline. That sounded really weird when I first tried to say it.
Yeah. Basically, it's like Sim City on steroids.
Oh, okay.
In terms of what all you can do with it.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, that take up more time than I expected it to.
Yeah.
But anyway, only other thing I can think of I've watched is Ms. Marvel last week. That got really interesting now that they're in Pakistan.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That was interesting. I still have no idea half the cultural references. And now I understand less because they're in Pakistan and not in Jersey City. But
that can happen.
It is what it is.
Exactly.
Other than that, I think that's about it. Are you ready to jump into our next section?
Yes.
The Cellcast News with your host Jacob Heron.
Why, thank you, Dila. And going into the news, Disney Plus released their first image for their new series, Zootopia Plus, coming out November 9th, 2022. So we've already reviewed Zootopia.
Yes.
Zootopia. And me personally, I don't know. There's not a whole lot of detail on it. I know it's a series. I don't know if it's going to be a segment of shorts or anything. I know, like, I think some of the original cast has come back,
right?
As far as I understand. And I love Zootopia. I thought Zootopia was very well done. It was very poignant the time it came out.
Mm-hmm.
And I still don't think people got the message. But
I think when it came out, people saw something that was probably not intended, but happened to line up with current events at the time.
Right.
And they didn't think to watch it for the movie that it actually was.
Right.
But anyway.
Yeah, either or. So yes, that'll be coming out fairly shortly, in a couple of months. So,
but the name Zootopia Plus seems kind of awkward.
Yeah, it's a little odd
because it feels like it's pulling off of Disney Plus,
right?
Which that's a good Disney Plus is a good name for a streaming service.
Mm-hmm.
Zootopia Plus. What's this going to be? Like every episode is like a show in the city that we're streaming while we're streaming
I have no
Zootopia
idea.
Plus.
Oh my gosh.
What I would just like more explanations to what the kind of show is, because to me, kind of what I would have wanted was an actual buddy cop show with, I can't remember her name, the rabbit.
Oh,
Between her and Nick,
yeah.
I want a buddy cop show with them going through Zootopia. That would be
Oh,
fun.
I would agree. I would agree with you.
That's the show I want for that.
June.
Yeah. I want June and Nick to have a buddy cop show in that city. That would be fun.
That would be fun.
But I don't think that's what we're getting.
Who knows? Who knows? But we will find out November 9th in this year.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So going to other bit of news. Universal and Illumination's Minions: The Rise of Gru provided to be a big triumph to the box office with a 4-day opening record of $121.1 million. The movie has the best ever Friday opening for Illumination film with a $48.1 million total, as well as the best premiere night since the pandemic with a $10.8 million on Tuesday. Now going into a movie that is going direct to video. And I think this is a first for Warner Brothers Animation. Superman, Batman, Battle of the Super Sons, which we've did a preview on our Facebook page. So this will be their first ever full CG, full-length movie that will be available on Warner Brothers Home Entertainment on 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray combo pack and on Blu-ray starting on October 18th. So if you're one of these they love the DC animated movie universe, be like, yeah, they'll probably go jump on this in a heartbeat.
Right.
And I know we've done Batman Long Halloween. I know that.
Yes, we did both part 1 and part 2 of that.
Yeah, we did. Which is good. It was good. We did that with Dallas over at
Geek Devotions.
Geek Devotions. Thank you. So go check that episode out, or episodes out. And then the one that got me when you mentioned it, I think last week, I think.
Okay.
Something about a human typhoon.
Oh,
yeah.
Trigun.
Yeah, Trigun.
I forgot about Trigun. I mentioned it, but apparently it didn't make the news rounds until this week.
Yes,
I think I saw it on recording day.
Yes,
and that's why I mentioned it.
Yes. All right. So Trigun is finally coming back with a new animated series over 2 decades later. Over 2 decades. And yeah, now I've got the theme in my head. The original creator behind the series is sharing their hype on the upcoming Trigun Stampede with the original animated series featuring bringing the manga to life in their own way. There has been a huge mystery as to what to expect in this new fully CG animated series to take the franchise to take on the franchise from Studio Orange, the production studio behind such as D-Star and the Land of Lustra and more. Fans are in anticipation during Anime Expo over the holiday weekend to get some critical new detail about the new developing process. This was on comicbooks.com.
I was trying to time it with the end.
You did pretty good.
Yes. All I'm saying is if when they do the English dub for it, if you don't get Johnny Young Bosch to be Vash the Stampede, it won't be as good. I'm sorry.
Well, honestly, when
I will watch the subtitle version at that point.
Yeah. So when
honestly, I want the whole original English cast to come back because they're all good in that show.
I would agree with you. The first time I saw anything on this was actually on Johnny Mombassa's, I think it's his Twitter feed. He showed like a clip from it. I was like, oh, I've got to watch this.
Yeah. I still need to watch it. I still haven't watched the trailer yet.
I know there's some people that are like, It's like, oh, it's not like the original. Well, the original was made in 19, like the mid
animation styles have changed since
quite
then.
a bit.
Yeah, unless you want them to trace the old artwork, which I know some people probably would.
Probably.
I mean, let's face it, the show, as great as it was like the animation on most of the talking was very limited.
Yeah, agreed.
Far more limited than most shows of its era.
Yeah.
It's almost end of not the movie End of Evangelion,
Yeah.
but the last couple episodes of end of you know what I mean?
Yes, the end of Evangelion.
I don't mean the movie. I mean the last couple episodes of Evangelion, where it's
okay, yeah.
long panning of people's faces as they talk because we literally have run out of money.
Yeah,
and we're just trying to get it done.
Yeah, that's true. But
it's not quite that bad. But
no.
there's a couple times where it's like, we've been on this shot a while and not much has happened.
It was the 90s, let's say that.
And then 3 minutes later, boom, a giant train the size of a rock mesa slammed into a cliffside. It's one we've been on this whole time. Or Vash the Stampede is doing literally anything at this point, because that always took a lot of animation.
True, it was Vash.
Yes.
But yes, we are getting Trigun back. I know there's probably some people out there as what's Trigun. It's an amazing show. I think it's on Netflix right now.
I think so. It is a space western.
Yeah, space western.
Unlike Cowboy Bebop, which was also a space western, this is more like a western space show. Because technically it does take place on another planet.
Right.
There is kind of like steampunk type technology, but it's also science fiction kind of. What was that called? Not steampunk, cyberpunk.
Cyberpunk.
It's actually closer to cyberpunk, but on a world that looks like, Old West.
Right.
Like sometimes ridiculously so Old West. And the only reason at first it's in the future is because the currency is now the double dollar instead of the dollar.
Right.
Which when you think about it, doesn't make any sense at all.
Right.
But you go with it.
Right. So if you are interested in watching the original Trigun, you can go to Netflix. If you are subscribed to Netflix, go over there and just give it a shot.
Yes. I do want to point out, you mentioned Minions The Rise of Gru earlier. I want to point out that the reason we did not do a reaction to that is because we still haven't gone through the rest of the Despicable Me / Minions movies, but we are working on getting through those. And so we will eventually cover this movie once we get caught up on that franchise.
Agreed. All right, so that's all I have been in news, unless you have something else.
I can't think of anything, so we need to jump into the spoiler-free section of our review for Turning Red. I nearly said Rapunzel's Tangled Adventures. Oh, we're not there yet.
Nope.
Certified fresh and spoiler-free.
So, this was my first viewing.
Same.
I honestly had no idea what I was getting into when it was when the movie was coming on, because literally all I knew of was the trailer. So all I knew was she, for some reason, turns into a giant red panda. She's in love. She has a crush on a boy band from the early 2000s. And when she turns into the panda, it's at the worst possible times.
Oh, yeah.
Also, she has friends that beatbox. That's all I knew. Because literally, that was the only trailers we saw for weeks.
That is true.
For this thing. So I didn't know what the crux of the story was. I kind of knew that's like, okay, she's going to turn into this panda and she's got to deal with it. I didn't realize there was going to be such a heavy emphasis on the mother-daughter relationship, which was nice.
Kind of like Brave.
Yes, very similar to Brave. But for what the movie was, I did enjoy it. It's got a bit of an anime influence.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Even though this is Chinese, mostly, not Japanese.
Yeah, in Canada.
Yeah, Canadian Chinese, so it's even weirder. But it was an enjoyable movie. I, to some degree, question why Pixar did not put this out in theaters. I'm wondering if they were a little gun shy about getting it out there,
or maybe their big distributing arm, which is Disney.
I'm thinking they're the ones actually who were gun shy. Pixar, I think, wanted to get it out there.
Yeah.
But Pixar, I think, had been gun shy because the last movie they released in theaters was
Raya and the Last Dragon.
No, that was Disney.
Oh,
Pixar.
Pixar.
That was
Luca.
No. Luca didn't go to theaters either.
That's right.
Soul didn't go to theaters.
No.
It was the Dungeons and Dragon one that is currently escaping my brain.
Oh, Onward.
Onward. And Onward released at the most unfortunate time in history.
Yeah.
Right at the beginning of the pandemic, literally a week before we knew it was going to hit.
That is true.
So it did not get the greatest box office. And I personally think Disney misread the reasoning why, though how you could is beyond me.
True.
And maybe it did not. And I think maybe it didn't sell well on the straight to video stuff that they were doing around that time. Mostly because I think people were focused on other things at that point, and so any movie releasing at that time had to have done poorly, no matter how you counted it.
Agreed.
Because the first movie we know that did good on that system was Trolls 2 World Tour.
Yeah,
I believe, and that was a good month or so after the worst of the lockdown
the hit happened.
Yeah. So I personally think, and I could be wrong on this, this is all theory. I have no proof on any of this. I think the reason that Soul, Luca, and Turning Red, these 3 movies in a row, I think it had the pandemic happened, they would have gone to theaters, no question. But because one movie did less than they would have liked,
less than projected,
they were a little hesitant. At the very least with Luca first.
Yeah.
Soul, it was like right there at the end and they were still not releasing anything in theaters. So I give Soul a pass.
Okay.
I have other problems with Soul, but the reason it didn't go to theaters, I give it a pass.
Okay.
Luca was right about the time it should have, because Raya and the Last Dragon came out like a month before that.
Yeah, and went to theaters.
It went straight to theaters, along with doing the premium thing. I don't remember what they called that, because thankfully they don't do it anymore.
Yeah.
But Luca, I think, would have been a bad one to go jump back into theaters for, because it's a much more laid back kind of film.
Yeah.
Turning Red really should have, because it is, I personally believe it's a much better return to Pixar form than Lightyear is.
I can see
How is that for a hot take?
Yeah, I agree.
Because as much as we enjoyed Lightyear, I think the reason they thought it would do better was because it was Buzz Lightyear and connected to Toy Story, while Turning Red they may have thought was a bigger risk. Yeah. And probably in reality it was a bigger risk technically, but Lightyear is so different from the rest of Toy Story, it's just as big a risk in my opinion. And no amount of brand recognition would help that. And honestly, I think Turning Red would have been the better option, and actually probably would have helped Lightyear get a better boost, because people would have felt better about going to a Pixar film in theaters again after Turning Red would have done, I think, fairly well.
Agreed.
Because I think it would have done as well as Frozen did.
Okay, so we'll get into that but
that's just an opinion.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, so yes, so this is. Are you finished?
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay, good. I didn't want to cut you off in any fashion or form.
That's fair.
So, there again, this is my first viewing of this film. I have a physical copy of it from Disney Movie Club.
I've got a physical copy of it somewhere, but I watched it on Disney Plus because that was faster to get to.
True. So, there again, we had this big build up to where it was going to. There was the rumor that it was going to go to theater, and then it
literally they were dragging their heels until like a month or two before.
Yeah.
And then they said, "Okay, yeah, this is we don't feel it's right. It's going straight to Disney Plus."
Yeah, because I remember one time we went to go see a movie, and there's the poster.
They showed the trailer for Turning Red.
There's the poster.
I think when we went to see Raya and the Last Dragon, they showed a trailer for Turning Red.
Yeah, they did, and it's like coming to theaters.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. And it's like, oh, Disney's being a pansies again. Okay.
It's like, come on, Disney.
Yeah.
So be like, yeah, this being my first time watching it, I had I was like, wow, the animation looks really good in this film. I was looking forward to it, and actually getting to sit down and watch this film for the first time. Because I can't remember what we were gonna do a reaction to it, but it fell through.
The Encanto one was backed up for so long that when we started talking about doing a reaction to Turning Red, the weekend kind of snuck up on us.
That is true.
And then we went 2 weekends, and then I said, look, I think we've missed our reaction window.
I think so.
Because I think, as good as the Encanto episode was, I think we missed it by a long shot.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to hit that again.
Understood.
So, that's why we didn't do it there. And you agreed and said, okay, we'll just put it on the review.
Yeah.
And then literally we were making up the review schedule, and you put it right smack there. And I said, okay, that works for me.
Yeah, that'll work. So, I thoroughly enjoyed the movie. There's a lot of this movie. It's like, okay, they do tackle some issues here and there that are interesting. I thought it was it was like, okay, XYZ, they do this. I'm like, oh, okay. I didn't know, like, this is really cool. The way they would do cultural things and, things that people go through. I thought it was very, very bold of them to do that. Cause I wouldn't say bold, but I would say very, almost encouraging to do certain things like that, to kind of push the envelope in a way. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. There again, like, watching this movie, there's a certain scene there. I'm like, oh my gosh, Drew's gonna have a cow over this. He's gonna flip. And then towards the end of the film, like, oh my gosh, Drew is gonna flip his ever living mind out to this scene. But we will get there when we get there.
Yeah.
So yes, I like this movie. It's very well done.
Mm-hmm.
And it did go to theaters in some places, not all places.
Not anywhere near here.
Nope.
Or we would have gone and seen it.
Exactly.
Because that was before a lot of the short events were hitting the theaters around here.
Mm-hmm.
For reasons unknown to us.
Very true.
But anyway.
All right. So,
are you ready to jump into the spoiler-filled section?
Exactly.
All right. Well, Deela, give us an ad read and we'll bump into this.
The Cellcast would like to thank the following patrons: Josh Adams, Ashley Cronin Bitter.
To get your name on the show, plus uncut episodes, early access to the Cellcast Plus reviews, and special art from Jacob, please donate to us on Patreon.
This podcast is a proud member of Culture Box. Whether you enjoy geeky reviews, comedy, or original fiction, you can open up the Culture Box and find something excellent for your soul. Point your web browser to culturebox.media.
Geek Devotions is a collaboration of devoted geeks that are devoted to letting people know that they are loved. They produce a weekly geek culture-infused devotional, their podcast Com Talk, another podcast where they talk about bad movies called Bottom Shelf, and another podcast where they read books, allegedly. And there are written articles, all designed to encourage and challenge people in the geek community, bridging the gap between their faith and their geekdoms. Find all their content at geekdevotions.com. This show is a part of Pop Americana. For more great shows like this one, please check the link in the episode description. Do you like Star Wars? I don't just mean the original trilogy. Along with that, I mean the prequels, the sequels, the anthologies, the animated shows, and of course, who doesn't like Baby Yoda? Well, if you've been in the fandom for any length of time, you know how toxic the fandom can get. And if you'd like to be able to discuss a galaxy far, far away in a much more positive light, might I suggest searching out The Outer Rim, a Facebook group dedicated to all of Star Wars, and check out their YouTube channel, which you can easily find at Pop Americana, which the podcast you're currently listening to is also a part of. To find that and more, check out the link in the description. The following is a spoiler-filled review for the movie Turning Red. Listener discretion is advised. Turning Red was written and directed by Domi Shi, who also wrote and directed the short Bao.
Oh my gosh, Bao.
Yeah.
It's an interesting short, but it's
a good short.
It's freaky as all out.
Especially there near the end when she eats him.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
But anyway, it was also written by Julia Cho and Sarah Stryker.
Mm-hmm.
Cast includes Rosalie Chiang as Mei Lin, and in a TV show called Click Wars, she played the character Ashley.
Mm.
Sandra Oh was the voice of her mother Ming, and she was Varana in Raya and the Last Dragon.
Ah.
Ava Morse was the voice of Miriam, and she played a character named Ava in Ron's Gone Wrong, which we need to watch
Okay,
at some
yeah.
point.
Some point.
Hyan Park was the voice of Abby, but she is most of the time a storyboard artist, which she did on Soul and Toy Story 4.
Oh, okay.
This next name, I know I'm saying this now, considering I've already passed some harder names to pronounce, but I will apologize for this one if I do mispronounce it, because it appears to be mostly consonants. Matreyi Ramakirshnan was the voice of Priya, and in My Little Pony Tell Your Tale, she played Zip Storm.
Okay.
I know nothing about this before you ask.
Okay, got it. I wasn't going to ask.
Orion Lee was the voice of Jin, and in something called First Cow, he played King Lu. Wai Ching Ho played Grandma, and she was Madame Zhao in Daredevil. Tristan Alaric Chen played Chen in this, and he was in WandaVision, specifically the episode All New Halloween Spooktacular,
Yeah.
as one of the kids in the commercial for that episode.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. Interesting.
Lori Tan Chin. Wait, did I say that Tristan played Chen in this? He didn't. He played Tyler.
Yeah, he played Tyler.
I wrote the name Chen twice for some reason. Sorry. Lori Tan Chen played Auntie Chen. There's a lot of Chens. This is my problem. And in Orange is the New Black, she played Mei Chang. Mia Tagano played Lily, and her only other credit was in Law and Order Criminal Intent, where she played CSU Tech Number 2. Whatever that means. Sherry Cola was the voice of Helen, and in the video game NBA 2K18, they played a character named B Fresh, literally the letter B and the word fresh.
Ah, gotcha.
Lillian Lim played Auntie Ping, and in something called Meditation Park, she played Anita. James Hong was the voice of Mr. Zhao. And he is Mr. Ping in Kung Fu Panda, aka Poe's dad.
Oh, okay.
But do you remember when a friend of ours, Chase, had us watch Big Trouble in Little China?
Oh, yeah.
He's the voice of Lo Pan.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Nice.
I wanted to make sure you caught that. Yes. Yeah, he can play a villain pretty good too.
Yeah.
Jordan Fisher played Robert of the band Four Town.
Okay.
And he played... Okay, I'm going to ask you this because I know you watched all these shows. In the WB Flash show,
yeah,
there was a character named Bart Allen who was Impulse.
That's later on of the series. I remember yeah.
Well, he played him.
Okay.
Phineas O'Connell played Jesse of Four Town. And he played a character named Tom in something called Confessions of a Teenage Jesus Jerk. I will admit, sometimes I pick titles of stuff to cover because of the strange title I see.
Yeah.
But that was kind of weird. It's like
Interesting.
Jesus Jerk. I think I've known those people.
Yeah.
And as a Christian, I love them as much as I love any other Christian brother and pray for them often to realize how they're being. But anyway... Topher Ngo was the voice of Aaron T. of Four Town, and this was his first role. Josh Levi was Aaron Z. of Four Town, and he was Drake in I think it's a Nickelodeon TV show called The Thundermans. Grayson Villanueva played Tae Young of Four Town, and he played an a cappella singer in something called Call Me Cat.
Well,
Sasha Royce played Mr. Kieslowski. That must have been one of her teachers. And in The Day After Tomorrow, he played Parker.
Oh, okay.
Addison Chandler played Devon, and he apparently played a badger in the television show We Bear Bears.
Badger.
And Lily Sanfilippo played Stacy Frick, and she was Gwen Stacy in Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, the more recent show.
Oh, okay.
Gotcha.
Gotcha.
The one that's kind of got the overly exaggerated character models with the really big heads.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Anyway, getting into our Kingdom Hearts connections, because yes, I did find some. Ira Nemirovsky was addition of voices here and addition of voices in Kingdom Hearts 3. And that was the only direct Kingdom Hearts reference I got.
Yeah.
But of course, Smash Brothers is a Kingdom Hearts game at now.
Of course.
By the logic of Tetsuya Nomura, since he did claim that he had to think about how to make Sora's inclusion in Smash Brothers work within the Kingdom Hearts franchise.
Mhm.
I find this hilarious.
Ah.
But anyway, David Hayter, who was additional voices here,
Okay.
is more commonly known as the voice of Solid Snake from Metal Gear Solid, who he voiced in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate.
Really?
Yes.
Huh.
Also from Metal Gear Solid, Kim My Guest was additional voices here, but in both Metal Gear Solid and Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, she played the character of Mei Ling, one of Snake's support crew, whatever you call those. The people, he calls on the codec.
Mm.
And that's pretty much what she does in Smash Brothers also. But
I
anyway, and that's the end of my Kingdom Hearts connections. What do we got in info and stuff?
All right, info and stuff on IMDb. It is a 7.7 out of 10. It's available on Disney Plus if you subscribe to Disney Plus. It was produced by, I'm gonna get this right the first time, Walt Disney Animation and Pixar Animated Studios, distributed by Walt Disney Studio Motion Pictures. Was released on March 11th, 2022. Going into the box office
On Disney Plus.
And this is where it gets a little interesting. It had a budget of $175 million.
Mm-hmm.
So going into it, actually had a box office release as of June 26, 2022. Turning Red has earned, this is just sad.
It's what happens when you have this limited a release.
Agreed. $18.7 million outside the United States to Canada. It earned $3.8 million from 12 international markets on its opening weekend. So going into its digital release, according to Saba TV, Turning Red was streamed in 2.5 million U.S. households over its opening weekend. The most ever for a Disney original title, Disney Plus original title, which I wouldn't say was an original Disney Plus title. It was originally supposed to go in theaters.
Yeah.
According to NASDAQ, Turning Red was the most watched program across all streaming platforms in the United States, with a 1.7 billion minutes viewed for the week of March 7th through the 13th of 2022. It continued to hold the top position during March 14th through the 20th of the same year, with 1.675 billion minutes. That's nuts.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of streaming hours. But yeah, it streamed very well. It didn't get a whole lot of recognition in the theaters.
Right.
So
yeah, I remember it made a fairly big splash on the internet when it came out, because there were actually people who complained about this film.
Yeah.
For some reason.
Because it talked about it
talked about girls.
It talked about puberty.
I was just going to say, it talked about girls and what they go through.
Right.
Admittedly, I can't think of any other kids movie that has actually done that, even as a joke.
Yeah, I think that was a good movie. I mean, I thought it was very.
They thought she became a woman. Instead, she became a panda.
Yeah.
Literally, though, the beast within.
Yeah, literally.
That could get me in trouble.
Tame your tongue, son.
Anywho. Are you ready for me to jump into the summary on
Yes,
this?
jump in the summary. Jump
All
in it.
All right. In 2002 Toronto, 13-year-old Maylin Mei Lee, who lives with her parents Ming and Jin, helps take care of the family's temple dedicated to their ancestor Sun Yi and works to make Ming proud. She hides her personal interests from Ming, such as the fact that she and her 3 best friends, Miriam Mendelssohn, Priya Mangal, and Abby Park, are fans of the boy band Four Town. One night, when Ming, who is strictly overprotective, discovers May's crush on Devon, the local convenience store clerk, she inadvertently humiliates May in public. Which I'm just going to say, when I was watching that,
Great.
as exaggerated as they showed that, because it was a bit exaggerated,
Just a little bit.
because you're seeing it from her point of view.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, this has got to be a dream sequence.
Yeah.
This has got to be like her worst nightmare, and this isn't actually happening. No, it happened in the context of the story, which was good, actually. But anyway, later, May has a vivid nightmare involving red pandas. When she wakes up that morning, she has transformed into a large red panda. She hides from her parents and discovers that she transforms only when she is in a state of high emotion, though her hair remains red, causing her to go to school in a beanie. Ming initially believes May is experiencing her first period, but learns the truth when she gets into an argument with the school security guard, causing May to transform and run home in panic. Ming and Jin explain that Sun Yi had granted the transformation to protect her 2 daughters, and every female family member since then has also transformed when they came of age. This has become inconvenient and dangerous in modern times, so the red panda spirit must be sealed in a talisman by a ritual on the night of the red moon, the next being in a month's time. May's friends discover her transformation, but taking a liking to it, and May finds that concentrating on them helps control the red panda within her. Ming allows May to resume her normal life, but refuses to let May attend Four Town's upcoming concert. Instead, the girls secretly raise money for the tickets at school, exploiting the popularity of May's red panda form while lying to Ming. To cover the last ticket, May agrees to attend school bully Tyler Nguyen Baker's birthday party as the red panda. At the party, May is upset to discover that the concert will be held on her ritual night instead of the following night, like Abby said earlier, due to an misunderstanding. In the midst of her rage, she attacks Tyler when he insults her family, frightening the other kids. Ming discovers May's activities and accuses her friends of corrupting and taking advantage of her. Afraid to stand up to her mother while ashamed, May fails to come to her friend's defense. May's grandmother, Wu, her aunts, her cousins, and their neighbor, Mr. Chow, come to assist in her ritual to Ming's dismay. As May prepares herself, Jin finds videos she took of herself as the red panda with her friends and tells her she should not be ashamed of this side of her, but to embrace it. During the ritual, as May's red panda form is about to be sealed, she decides to keep her powers and abandons the ritual to attend the concert at the Sky Dome, where she reconciles with her friends. They discover that Tyler is also a Four Town fan. However, an enraged Ming transforms into a 100-foot red panda due to May inadvertently breaking her talisman during her escape from the temple, and disrupts the concert, intending to take May back by force. May and Ming argue about May's independence. As they quarrel, May accidentally knocks her mother unconscious. Wu, the aunts, and the cousins break their talismans to use their red panda forms to help drag Ming into a new ritual circle. May's friends and Four Town join in singing to complete the ritual, sending May, Ming, and the other women to the astral plane. May reconciles with Ming and helps her mend her bond with Wu, whom Ming accidentally scarred in anger at some point before sealing her red panda form years prior. As a result, couldn't move past her guilt. The other women conceal their red pandas and new talismans, while May decides to keep hers, with Ming accepting that she is finding her own path. Later, as the Lee family raises money to repair the damage caused at the Sky Dome, May and Ming's relationship has improved as May balances her temple duties, where her red panda is now an attraction, with spending time with her friends, now including Tyler. Because of course.
Of course.
Getting into the trivia for this. The number 4, as seen in the band Four Town,
Right.
is considered unlucky in Chinese culture,
I heard about that.
as it sounds similar to the word for death in both Mandarin and Cantonese.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And there that part.
The family's nickname for Maylin, Mei Mei, is Mandarin for little sister. The temple was inspired by the Bok Kai Temple, a historical landmark in Marysville, California, that was built by the local Chinese community in 1880. A special thanks is made for them in the credits. Ming was originally planned to have been incredibly happy that Mei turned into a red panda due to it being a good luck charm for the temple, and would have planned to monetize Mei's red panda form for profit. This direction for Ming was scrapped due to Domi Shi, the director, feeling it made her too much of a one-note villain. I like to point out that's what she is at the end of this film, but they're on better terms.
Yeah.
But anyway, as explained in various interviews, director Domi Shi took inspiration from 4 Japanese anime regarding the film's creation, namely Fruits Basket from 2001, Ranma 1/2 from 1989, Sailor Moon from 1992, and Inuyasha from 2000. The first 2 in particular share themes of adolescence and transformations and wacky situations with the film.
Ah.
A lunar eclipse actually did occur on May 26, 2002, one day after the events of the film's climax. However, it was not easily visible from the Toronto area.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
This is the first Pixar movie where an on-screen character breaks the fourth wall to narrate.
I love that.
And last but not least, the sad one. This is Pixar's 3rd feature film after Soul in 2020, Luca in 2021, not to feature a vocal performance from John Ratzenberger.
Sad.
Pixar, what are we going to do with you? And I believe Lightyear was number 4 on that list. I miss John Ratzenberger in Pixar films. Maybe he is getting a bit old to do that anymore, unfortunately, but I like me some Cliff Clavin.
Yeah. True.
But anyway.
Yeah.
Jacob, what is your first like for this film?
My first like of this very furry film. Oh my gosh. And this was the one that got me, and I kept thinking of my good friend. It's a kaiju movie. Oh, Christ, it's a kaiju panda movie.
It is a kaiju film.
Yes, it is.
To some degree.
Some degrees.
More accurately, it has a... Well, no, it is a kaiju film.
Yes, it is.
Because no matter how you count it, even Mei in her normal red panda form, which is not as big as Ming is in her red panda form.
Oh my gosh.
Is still technically a kaiju.
Very true. And all of the aunts and the grandmother are all kaijus.
And you get it was... I did like that.
Yeah.
Continue.
Oh, it was just like...
I didn't want to step on your tail.
No, yeah, because that would just hurt.
Yeah.
So just like I enjoyed that aspect because it was like, because watching the first time when Mei gets angry and turns into the red panda, and she's so embarrassed she just has to run home, and she's going over destroying everything. I'm like, oh my gosh, she's a tiny kaiju.
Well, I remembered one of the other trivia things that for some reason I didn't put on there. Mm-hmm. Apparently, when they were first trying to describe this film to start advertising it, they described her as the Incredible Hulk, but furrier.
Yeah.
And cuter.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Panda smash. Boom.
You won't like her when she's angry. Except she's so fluffy, I'm gonna die. To quote another movie.
Yes. Excellent. Good point. Just these points where Mei transforms into the red panda, and when we hear the conversation with her father and describing to Mei, it's like, your mother was like, her form was pretty big, big, and
you're sitting there going, well, how big was it? Was she just like bigger than Mei? Like, was she like 15 feet, 20 feet?
More like
100 feet.
So when she finally gets angry enough, her talisman breaks, and it's like, oh crap, this definitely turned kaiju.
Yeah.
And it was just like, I love that aspect because they took something that you primarily see in Japanese films now of the kaiju or animes or whatever.
We are at least starting to see kaiju we are getting American made kaiju films now.
Pacific
at least
Rim.
With the MonsterVerse and Pacific Rim.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I just thought it was a very interesting aspect. Definitely when we get to Mei-Mei's mother, who is just massive and destroys the stadium.
Yeah.
And I thought that was it was very unique. It was so well done, and it was oh my gosh. And the fact that Mei decided to keep her panda, and I'll get into that later, but it was just it was like, oh wow, that's a different direction. I didn't expect them to go the whole, the kaiju route with this. And I was just wow.
Because there was nothing really pointing to that even being a focus.
Yeah.
It's just that, okay, she turns into a giant red panda.
She's a monster.
Except not.
No, she's a human. She's been cursed by the only thing I assume from a Western idea is got possessed by a demon.
Except she didn't.
No, she didn't.
She was still in control of herself. In fact, she was probably more real after the panda transformation than before, because she literally lost control of herself.
Yeah. I guess more like an ancient spirit or something, like you would call it. Maybe. Because that's the way they kind of describe it as, kind of like a spirit.
Yeah, it's a little weird.
It's odd.
Yeah.
But it's understanding a different culture, and but overall be just the idea that you had, furry kaijus was hilarious to me. And I thought it was a great idea to do this in this film. So yeah, that's my number one. What's yours?
I'm going to jump off yours and say it's a kaiju film.
Thank you. I knew it would be your number one.
The thing is about this as a kaiju film, it is not a Godzilla style kaiju film, because while there is a giant monster at the end of this that does have to be stopped, and it does destroy an important landmark of that area, in this case, the Toronto Sky Dome, it's not the focus.
Agreed.
We don't even have a clue that there is even 100-foot red panda coming.
No.
Until it happens, which technically I guess works. But I mean,
well, we did in a certain way when the conversation between Mei and her father.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, she's just big.
And the fact that Ming's mother, Mei's grandmother, does have a pretty big scar on her face. Which they never actually say is from...
Yeah, but it's implied.
Ming, but it's very heavily implied that it is. And from Ming's point of view, I understand why she wanted that sealed. But for all of the rest of them, especially... I don't quite understand why they... I get that it's inconvenient in the modern time to be able to turn into a giant red panda.
Yeah.
But the question I still have is, how long have they been we know how long they've been turning, but how long has it been an inconvenience? Obviously, when they were still in China, it was fine.
Yeah.
But when they came to
America,
the North American continent, because exactly how Ming's family got to Toronto is not exactly gone into. Because we know her grandmother is down in Florida. So they're Canadian, she's American. Anyway.
Right.
It is a fun... We do get a lot of good destruction and got a lot of good fights. And admittedly, I only know of maybe one or two other kaiju that have fur on them. And one of them is King Kong.
Wow. Wait. Oh, yeah, King Kong does have fur.
That's right. King Kong does have fur. But he's like the kaiju that's been grafted into the kaiju fandom solely because he fought Godzilla twice.
True.
Originally just once, but that was changed recently. And then there's another one in one of the other Showa era Godzilla movies. I can't remember which one. I think it's Godzilla versus Megalon. But there's a King Caesar in that one that is actually a cat kaiju.
Really?
Or a lion kaiju, technically.
Got it.
That came up. Of course, that one's just fun because Jet Jaguar. But anyway. That was, but yeah, this is definitely a kaiju film. You got a lot of that nice fun. And admittedly, I was not seeing it as a kaiju film
Yeah.
until the 100-foot panda became visible.
Raises big
Because
furry
the rest of
ears.
the time I was just looking at it, like, okay, she happens to turn into a monster. While that's kaiju by the actual definition of kaiju and not daikaiju, which is really what Godzilla and all of them are.
Yeah.
But we don't use the term daikaiju because no one knows that word over here.
So what does daikaiju mean?
Big monster.
Big monster.
Or big mysterious creature. Because kaiju means mysterious creature.
Yeah.
Daikaiju is great mysterious creature.
Wow.
So yeah, but kaiju is just the only term that's used worldwide for the whole thing.
I gotcha.
Technically, there's also kaijin, which is mysterious person.
Oh, okay.
It's literally that. An example of that might be Dracula or Frankenstein would technically be maybe kaijin.
Okay.
But they don't actually. Well, except there was a Frankenstein monster in some over there. But anyway, that's all beside the point.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was not really looking at it like that. I was actually kind of looking at it more like the Incredible Hulk.
I gotcha.
More than that, which then now raises the question, is the Incredible Hulk a kaiju? I know who to ask. I would be Nate Marchand of the Monster Island Film Vault because he knows superheroes too. But anyway.
Yeah, what do you think, Nate?
What is your second like?
My second like, actually, I titled it. It's Unleash the Inner Panda. Not in the way of
not like Dallas,
and not like a certain character voiced by Jack Black.
You mean Poe?
Yeah, Poe.
Skadoosh.
Yeah. Either or. I found this quote during my research, and I thought it was very well. It's actually a paraphrase from Sigmund Freud. And sometimes a red panda is just a red panda.
That's not what he said.
I know that.
That is a paraphrase of that famous.
That's
line.
what I just said. It's a paraphrase.
Because he was talking about cigars.
Yes. I didn't
and
know
the
that.
less we get into that, the better. But you onwards with your point.
Thank you. This is actually a quote from Michael Savon from the Washington Post. He's paraphrasing Sigmund Freud. Sometimes a panda is just a panda. Sometimes it's a metaphor for something, an inner spark of creativity, a flame of originality that is to be cherished and not extinguished. And I love the idea that once Mei learns that be like this big family secret that like, oh, all the women in my family line be like turned into big pandas or red pandas.
Yeah.
And be like, have you seen a actual red panda?
I've seen pictures of red pandas. They look like raccoons.
Yeah. They're just
they're similar to tanukis.
Yeah.
Which are panda dogs.
Panda dogs. Yeah. I thought there was just be like
also known as raccoons.
Yeah, exactly.
I think they're all connected is all I'm saying.
Somewhat. But either or. I like the idea. It's like when she realized she embraces the panda or embraces the red panda. I find it's where she has to hold these family traditions, family values, or under this very strict discipline of her mother. Now I know a certain podcaster would not like this film because it's
disobedient children. But she does face consequences, which he's fine, which saves that a little bit.
Yeah, agreed.
Of course, the consequence is being chased by a giant 100-foot red panda that happens to be her mother.
But
among other problems that arise.
But it's embracing the weird, embracing the oddity of like being very nerdy or something like that, and just like embracing that and not being ashamed of the creativity you can be and the because a lot with our world, it's just be like, oh, embrace this. Be like, to me, it's like you embrace the inner nerd you are, what you love to do, and just embrace that, and just because you never know, because the idea that maybe God placed that inner desire to be creative or something like that you can reach people with the gospel.
Mhm.
And I was be like, it's just, sometimes with me, sometimes I really don't want to be a nerd, because there again, I've been described as nerd light by family members. Let's say that.
Yes.
And
I was about to say, I was sitting here and going, you're nerd-ish, but I wouldn't say you're full-on nerd.
Yeah, I'm nerd-ish, nerd light.
Yeah.
But so sometimes I kind of struggle with that, because I just want to be the normal person. Kind of like, maybe she just wants to be normal. She wants to be like everybody else. But once she realized, be like, oh, this red panda is actually really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody seems to like it.
Yeah.
So it's just like embracing that, the ability you have, rather than what the world tells you, or maybe your feelings are telling you, because your feelings are very fickle and they have a tendency of changing. But overall, it's embracing the inner creativity, embracing the joy you have for doing something, and not being ashamed of that creativity, or the all that other good stuff. So I found that aspect of this film very well done. So yeah, I thought I'll just bring that up.
Okay.
That's my number 2. What's your number 2?
My second is the relationship between May and her father.
Oh, okay.
That's not the one you think I'm going to go with, is it?
Yeah.
Because here's the thing, especially Jin himself, not just the relationship, but let's look at Jin.
Yeah.
You realize how brave this man is?
That is true.
He saw Ming at her worst.
Yeah.
He saw her as a 100-foot tall kaiju panda.
Yeah.
Saw her attack her mother to save him, admittedly, or to get him to back off of her.
Yeah.
And even though she went through with the ceremony, he knew at any time, if that little talisman she had broke, the red panda was coming back.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe he didn't know that, because they never talked. The idea that it could be broken hadn't come up to, like, you see the cracks at that point.
I was like, oh crap, this is not good.
Yeah. But I mean, the fact that you can tell he loves Ming. Let's not beat around the bush.
Yeah.
He is in love with her and does not care that she can turn into a 100-foot tall panda monster, among all her other, let's say, harsh qualities.
Yes.
Because she is a pain in some of these scenes.
Agreed.
She's very much of a tiger mom.
Yes.
The phrase was.
She is.
That's not a bad thing. It's just, you kind of want to say, hey, back off a little bit. You're actually, you're putting more stress on your daughter than you realize.
Yeah, but also you think that's generational too.
That is generational, because she went through the same thing with her mother.
Yes.
So you'd think she would have got it.
Nope.
But no, because from your experience, from your side of things, you're being a lot nicer than your mother was. And probably she actually was. But I did like how it's very obvious that they're related. May and Ming are related. Is painfully obvious.
Yes.
Because they're almost the same character, but with a generational difference. And it's very obvious once you get to that other scene. But that's on a different like than not this like.
Right.
But the fact that, Jin feels, all this love for his wife is definitely on, wanting to support her and wanting to support his daughter.
Yeah.
Which puts him in an awkward position throughout most of this film, to where like 75% of his lines in the film are, it's like, I don't really know how to answer here, because I'm in the middle and I can't, I want to make pace, but I don't know how.
Right.
So when I thought that was just going to be the running gag. It's like, okay, he doesn't really have any lines. He's in the background. He's not going to be able to do much.
Yeah.
So that when he actually, is down in the basement, finds the tape, the camera, and watches, the video of May and her friends singing and dancing along, transforming into the red panda, back and forth, blah, blah, blah. And then goes up and actually says, hey, I understand what you're going through. even if you go through with this ceremony, don't lose this part of you, because you seem happier here
Mhm.
than you seem than otherwise.
Yeah.
He's like, because he's being supportive of both of them.
Yeah.
The problem is they're both hard-headed. I wouldn't know anything about this.
No.
They're both very hard-headed, and they both want what they want, and that's why they're butting heads
Mm-hmm.
or paws, as the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
But I appreciated his character, because like, he is just like the normal human who got wrapped up into this thing.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't scared away when he saw Ming transform the first time.
Mm-hmm.
He was well aware that his daughter was going to do the same thing one
Mhm.
day.
Yeah.
To the point where it's he who actually spills the beans.
Oh, it's like, oh, it happened. What happened?
It's like, oh, it happened already?
Ready?
It's like, and you just see the look on Ming's face. It's like,
You had to
you
say
had-
it.
I was getting to that, because 5 seconds later, and we knew it was coming,
Uh-huh.
she's breaking up and she goes, wait a minute, what did you say? You knew about this? You knew I was going to turn into a giant panda?
You didn't tell me?
You didn't tell me about this? Well, I thought I had more time. Well, you didn't.
The fur popped out.
Yes. You should have recognized it was more than just puberty. Which actually does make me wonder if it's connected to puberty, actually. But besides the point.
Yeah, it's puberty.
But that's how it's supposed to represent anyway. But anyway, I love the how supportive Jin is, both to Mei and Ming.
Yeah.
And even though he doesn't get to do a whole lot in this movie outside of be supportive,
Right.
he still actually has a very powerful role in the film.
Agreed. Completely agreed.
Because he could very easily have just been the running gag.
Yeah, agreed.
Of the troublemaker, or the guy trying to make peace and having no idea how.
Yeah. I to kind of bounce off your idea. The idea that the father, when like watching this film, like he doesn't really do a whole lot through the first act. I'm like, oh, this is like the submissive husband who doesn't be like, he's a yes ma'am. Yeah. Doesn't really how to
to some degree, he felt like that joke of the kid who's trying to ask the father to do something, and he's just reading the paper the whole time. And after the kid says what other one, he says, "Go ask your mother," without actually paying attention. That's kind of what he looks like, except that he's actually looking around and watching everything.
Yeah,
he just doesn't know how to actually answer any of these questions, because a lot of stuff is happening pretty fast, and he's not really equipped to handle any of it.
I would agree. And also with your point, be like, he's a very supportive father and he's a very supportive husband. That be like, he knows.
And he was caught in the middle between the two.
Yeah.
He couldn't do much about it.
Exactly. So I found that very appealing as a character. So yeah. All right. So my third like is actually the character expressions. Oh my gosh. Be like, the way the way they design the character expressions are so, be like, there again has huge anime influence on this.
Oh yes.
Oh yeah, because like you have like Mei, it's just like every expression is huge and loud, and the whole bit, it's like it seems to the entire screen. Or the point where Mei as the red panda goes by the it goes by the little grocery shop.
Oh, okay.
And she goes by as the panda, and she sees the guy, and she goes, this is nah. This is like great.
Well,
like,
and she starts doing the thumper.
Yeah, the
thumper stomp. It's like, oh wow, she really does like this boy.
But overall, be like every time you have a character expression, because it's like the transformation is based off emotion. And so like anytime she gets mad or sad or like, gets like any kind of a like deep emotion, she can transform into the panda. Except for the support she has for her friends that kind of helps her calm down a little bit.
Right.
But just the amount of expressions that you have on Mei, you have on like every other character, is so like overexpressed, and it's so colorful and lively, and it like brings a different element to the movie where like I would use the example of Luca.
Mhm.
Luca does some very generic, common expressions,
Mhm.
where here in Turning Red, it is just blown out of proportion. It's done very well. It's over exaggerated facial expressions,
Mhm.
which make the character become more alive. It's like when Manny gets mad, be like her eyes are, big as saucers.
Yeah.
And it's just so well done. And like you find that a lot of anime, a lot of manga, and I find that very nice because I like to draw characters with very big expressions sometimes.
Mhm.
And I just really enjoyed that. I was like, wow, they really cranked a lot of this up in this movie, and it's very well done. I really enjoyed it. So that's my number 3.
All right. My third is actually the relationship between May and Ming.
Oh, okay.
Because here's the thing, I talked about earlier, you can tell they are mother and daughter, and it is painfully obvious by more than just a genetics.
Yes.
Because they are the same in temperament and personality.
Mm-hmm.
It is their way or the highway.
Mm-hmm.
And when you get two people who are like that, let's just say the sparks fly. And they turn into giant pandas.
Right.
One of them being 100 foot tall, but that's beside the point.
True.
It's weird in how I watch this and I kind of am reminded of a Goofy movie. In a way.
Really?
Yeah, because think about it. They are in this case, it's a mother and a daughter instead of a father and son.
Right.
But while they're not going on a road trip, they are going on a journey of sorts that ends in a concert. True. In which they crash it pretty bad.
Mm-hmm.
And by the end of the story, they come to terms with the fact that, May is growing and Ming still just wants to be a part of her daughter's life.
Right. It's
not the exact same story, but it follows a lot of similar themes of that story. And I like how the characters are, I like how you can tell they both love each other.
Yeah.
But they're not really good at expressing that love.
Understood.
And so, yeah, that's part of the reason I actually do like the characters of. I know I'm not going into this as much as Jen because I really have not much to jump off this. It's not obvious.
Right.
But yeah, Ming and May's relationship where you can tell they're both trying to do the right thing and love each other and still get their way.
Yeah.
All at once. I appreciated that you could tell that I appreciated the way that relationship was set up.
I gotcha.
Which now brings us to our dislikes.
Agreed.
What's your first?
My first is now granted, this is an extreme nitpick and it's very early in the film.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's one or two scenes where it's Maybay and another character, and it has to do with their eyes float a little bit within the frame of the eye socket, because you can very clearly and definitely see it where a character moves, but obviously the eyes don't move in the frame, but they do move.
Yes,
you can see where maybe the rigging wasn't exactly clamped down, to use the lack of a term, but you have this where Maybay moves and her eyes slightly shift where they're not supposed to shift. So there again, this is an extreme nitpick. There again, when you're a reviewer, you do these things. And I saw that and I was like, that was interesting. I guarantee an animator made a mistake there.
Yeah.
But it's just, you have one or two frames or one or two moments in the movie very early on. They obviously corrected it later on where characters' eyes seem to shift a little. I'm not talking naturally shift, but the framing of the eyes go out of frame for fractions of seconds. So it's just one of those observations that I had, and just thought I would bring it up.
Okay.
What is your number one dislike?
My first dislike.
Our first dislike, yes,
is So much of this movie would have been fixed, and I recognize this is part of the plot, and so really shouldn't be part of the dislike, but so much of this film could have been fixed had Ming and May just talk to each other like normal people. Now, granted, I understand how hard that is, because May does not want to displease her mother.
Yeah.
To the point where she almost lives a double life.
Yeah.
Between school and home. I get that. But so much of the problem here is that May isn't listening to Ming. Ming is not listening to May.
Yeah.
They both have their best ideas of what they think is right. Granted, as the mother, that should win out, because she is the parent and wants what's best for her daughter.
Right.
And let's face it, what's best for her daughter is not sneaking out to a birthday party to sell her transformation abilities as to get money to go to a concert she technically also isn't allowed to go to.
Yeah.
And what's also not good is deciding, oh, I do actually want to keep the transformation, but instead of just, sitting down and talking about it and having a decent conversation with the family, I'm going to run away to the concert because I'm angry.
Yeah.
And I want to go to the concert because I miss my friends. Granted, if May had also talked up, her friends wouldn't be angry at her either.
True.
So much of this is the fact that for most of this film, Ming doesn't listen to her daughter, and May doesn't have the courage to speak up.
True.
Because the few times it does happen, it doesn't go well.
True.
And there's a part of me that's like, it's like saying, Jen, you should speak up for both of them. You're supposed to be the support, and you don't even know how to help these two people. When it's all like, you just need to say, okay, ladies, we need to talk about this calmly. We need to have a family meeting.
Can you see that happening? All you see is like they both turned to pandas.
Well, Ming wouldn't have, because hers was still in the talisman.
True.
May would have been having May had learned how to keep the panda in control, which was thinking about her friends, which she lied about to her mother.
Yeah.
It's like, May, quit lying. This is what's digging you deeper into this hole.
True.
And admittedly, no, that's a different dislike, but we'll get back to that.
Right.
Admittedly, a lot of my dislikes are not with the storytelling or the animation. It's probably things that would actually detract from the movie had they actually been done differently. But it's like, this is the problems I have with it, because this is the problems I'm supposed to be having with it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So yeah, what's your second dislike?
My second dislike. Oh my gosh. So I actually had to think about this one for a little bit. So you have May be like, so she's using her transformation in order to gain money or earn or raise money in order to go to this concert. And I agree with the mother to the fact to be like, wait a minute, you're spending $200 to go to a concert. Yeah, that's kind of nuts. But at the same time, be like,
that's how much they cost.
Yeah, which is nuts.
Even then, that's how much they cost.
Yeah, this is 2002.
Yeah,
it's like, how popular are these characters?
They're essentially in sync,
or Backstreet Boys,
or something to that effect.
Right?
Did you see that set?
Yeah, that was
huge.
They
had cages that they somehow busted out of with anime boy powers.
Yeah.
That obviously had to be faked because they are supposed to be just normal humans.
Right.
They were hung up from wires from the Sky Dome ceiling.
Right.
Didn't make any sense because it should have been from the set, but
yeah,
whatever.
I've seen that.
Yeah. And it's like, if they could have afforded an LED wall, or if LED walls existed back then, they'd have had it.
Probably.
But at this point, it's just, no, they have, I see why it cost $200. There was that much production value put into it because they could make that kind of money.
Yeah, agreed. But that was beside the point, because this was more of a nitpick, and I don't know if it's, I think it's appropriate, but at the same time, it's kind of odd.
Let me ask you a dumb question.
What's this?
How much did you pay for that Garth Brooks concert you went to recently?
$94 a ticket.
Okay,
Altogether.
fair enough. Fair enough.
All together.
Never mind.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up, but you brought it up anyway. My point is go ahead.
If we're all being honest, anything over $50 is too expensive for me.
I got it. I totally get it. But my point is, May uses her ability, lying to her mother the entire time about this, and selling. I kind of view it as kind of like a self-exploitation in a way, that she uses her abilities, which she's been strictly told don't overuse it because you'll lose control of it.
Right, which technically was a lie.
Which technically is a lie. By all technical accounts, is a lie.
Into that in a second.
Yes. The idea would be you're selling yourself or selling your panda form in order to raise money to go to a concert that is already extremely expensive.
Which she got into for free.
Yeah, she literally. That's another thing.
Actually, no, she didn't get into it for free, because even that came with consequences due to her mother destroying the stadium, and now they have to pay to rebuild it, which makes no sense.
It doesn't make any sense.
I guess it's the only way they could get away with not putting Ming in prison.
That is true.
Which technically she should have been arrested for, because you can't. She's not Godzilla. She's not a wild animal. She was a thinking person.
Agreed. So yes, May lying to her mother and basically self-exploitation in order to raise money for these tickets for her and her friends to go drool over some boys for an hour. Yeah. So it was just more like me. It was
and probably that did not include an autograph,
right,
or a backstage pass, or a meet the band thing.
Yeah,
that was just to sit in the orchestra.
Yeah, to sit in the audience. And here's another thing. So,
which honestly, $200 for orchestra seats, that I can actually see.
Yeah,
if she'd been up in the nosebleed section,
right,
and was still paying $200,
in
2002, that would be ridiculous.
Yeah. And also being someone who just recently bought tickets for a big name concert, it was $84 for the ticket. Mm-hmm. That's not including
parking
fees, parking fees, stadium fees, the whole bit.
Yeah.
So you're looking at something that's beyond, they would have made a lot more money to actually make it. So technically they were actually short. Unless
the price that they quoted was the total price they needed to pay.
Right. But
which would be simpler for the story.
That is true. But my main point is the self-exploitation of her panda form in order to raise money for this.
There's a bigger issue than just her self-exploitation.
What's that?
How does this blessing/curse actually work? Because here's the thing. Yeah, you turn into the panda when you've experienced a strong emotion. Mm-hmm. Okay, that part makes sense. Mm-hmm. Ming says the more you use the panda form, the harder the ritual is,
right,
to actually perform.
Mm-hmm.
Now, technically, she was correct.
Yeah,
which is, I've heard, is the best kind of correct. Mm. But here's the thing. The reason it was easier for the reason May did not go through with it wasn't because she couldn't go through with it. She could have given up, and she nearly did give up her panda form.
Yeah.
But she decided to keep it because she actually liked her panda form. She liked that part of herself.
Yeah.
Ming, her mother and her aunt, her sisters, didn't like their panda forms, because it was inconvenient for their lives at the time.
True.
For their panda forms to actually be used.
Yeah.
Which then makes me wonder, did Ming have the whole story? Ming, admittedly, had the worst panda of all of them, because she turned into 100-foot kaiju of a panda.
Yeah.
While everyone else turned into human-sized pandas. I say human-sized, but, a big 7 or 8 feet tall max.
Yeah.
and proportionally big,
Furry.
both furry and
Girth.
Girth, yes.
Yes.
I suspect that Ming didn't have the whole story because her mother didn't tell her the whole story. Yeah, if Ming had transformed into her kaiju form more often, maybe she would have fallen in love with it the way Mei did.
Yeah.
But Ming's panda is also a lot more inconvenient than everybody else's panda.
True.
Because she goes 100 foot. They all go 8 foot.
Yeah.
So I suspect that Grandma didn't tell Ming the whole story, and Ming could only pass on what she said, which means throughout most of this movie, Mei is dealing with bad information.
Okay, that makes sense.
Because the entire line of what they need to know about this thing is false information. Now, granted, we also don't know if Grandma had the full story. We also don't know if she was the first one to decide not to have the panda anymore. We don't know how far back the panda became inconvenient enough that they came up with, they found this ritual to seal the panda.
Yeah.
We don't know.
Yeah, we don't have all the information.
We don't have all that information.
Right.
But I wonder how far back they've been dealing with this misinformation. If they thought, oh yeah, if you use the panda, it starts getting harder and harder to not to seal it to the point where it may not go. And they're sitting there going, the reason she can't get rid of the panda isn't because she can't get rid of the panda, it's because she doesn't want to get rid of the panda. The panda is who she is.
Yeah.
And she's fine with it. The bigger question is, why aren't you fine with your pandas? Which they don't get into.
No, they don't get into.
Anyway.
Well, there is one point where the ants are lining up into the portal where you can see for a second, they were kind of just
a few of them did look like, should I keep it?
Yeah.
No,
exactly.
I'll go ahead and give it up. I can't deal with that in this age of my life anymore.
Right. But yeah.
Anyway, what's your third dislike?
My third dislike is the entire conclusion to our story. Now,
it does clean up too fast.
It does clean up way too fast. You have the destruction of the stadium, and it's stated that the family is paying it off,
which also makes no sense.
No, it doesn't. You're talking about millions and millions of dollars in damages. Not including the damage prior to getting to the stadium.
Yeah.
Because if you're talking about 100-foot kaiju red panda is stealthily walking through this town that is not used to a 100-foot kaiju walking through it, is she walking on her little furry tippy toes the entire time?
At the same time, think about it. Ming is 100-foot tall kaiju
who is mad.
Do you know how hard that is to miss if you're the traffic reporter for the 7 o'clock news?
That's gonna be very hard to miss.
Who might be near the Sky Dome to talk about all the bad traffic that's going to come out of there as the concert lets out. So you may want to stay off of whatever road that is. If you happen to be in town.
Yeah.
They're gonna notice a giant 100-foot tall panda. They just are.
Yeah.
So it's if they spot Godzilla, they'll spot you because you are a lot more obvious than Godzilla is because you're red.
And you're
not red. You're really more orange. They call
orange.
it red, but it's more of an orangey red.
Right.
And you are very obvious. It's not like 98 Godzilla where you can go hide in the sewer system for no good reason.
True. But it's more of our very tidied up ending where it's not there's no the biggest consequence our characters have to do is pay for the damages.
Yeah.
And be they again exploit exploitation of their daughter being the panda. I understand it's
Still,
it's attraction based, but you're using your daughter's ability to profit from. So there again,
This is-
exploitation.
this is the same group at the beginning of the film was trading on their family's history to get offerings at their temple.
Yeah.
And they were it was very, you can tell it was a very business-like organization.
Oh yeah, very much.
That was a tourist attraction and
Oh.
they knew it.
Oh yeah, very easy.
They have nothing on trading on their family history.
Oh yeah. And now you're trading on your daughter who can turn this big fluffy panda.
And technically everyone's waiting for you to Hulk out also, Ming.
Yeah. Because they've seen you, they know who this is.
Yes. There has to be a sequel at this point where somebody is trying to capture May to do some sort of scientific experiment
that'd
on
be
her.
hilarious.
And Ming has to break the Tamagotchi now, but that's a lot harder because it's made of plastic.
I'm sorry, my little friend. Boop, on you. It's like, what?
And all of
She
a
throws
sudden,
down,
and all of a sudden, 100-foot kaiju panda roams the north. I don't know where Toronto is. Roams the Great Lakes area. I will say I did like the joke where Abby, I think it's Abby. Is Abby the Korean girl?
Yeah.
Yeah. Abby says, Toledo? What's a Toledo? I thought it anyway.
Anyways, but it's just like, yeah, the ending is so very just kind of like very easily just kind of it's very softly put away. It's like, oh, they're just paying for it. Be like, wouldn't that be like, destruction of property? Like someone would go to jail, or it's like, oh no, because you're a big fluffy panda, we're totally fine with it.
And the thing is, they make it look like they're just paying for it out of the goodness of their own heart.
Yeah, exactly.
Not that the fact that they got sued by the city over this, and are now having to pay restitutions to rebuild the Sky Dome, which needs to get rebuilt before the Blue Jays have their first game.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, just everything's kind of like just nicely be like, it's a nice ending. I get it. You want to do that, but you don't want to go so hard with be like they're having to pay restitutions and the mother is not on jail because of good behavior or something like that.
Like we said earlier, this is kind of a kaiju movie, and a lot of the kaiju movies, especially the Japanese ones, they normally end like right at the point where they would have been back to normal, and that would have just been the end of the film.
Yeah,
that whole epilogue would not have happened if it was a classic kaiju film. So I think this is kind of like them trying to. They probably had it originally in there like those old films did, and then someone at Pixar says, we need at least a little bit more resolution than that.
Right.
That's a theory. I have no proof of this.
But yeah, that's my third dislike is that this movie is tied up a little too well. There's not a lot of consequences for what they do. It's just like, oh, we're just donating the money to get it rebuilt. Really?
Yeah, that's why.
Yeah, exactly.
In the meantime, what are you living off of?
Yeah, exactly.
Because if you want to get that thing paid off as fast as possible, which means you're not eating off of any of those donations, what does Jen do for a living? There's your question.
That is true.
But anyway.
Yeah, that's another question for another day. So, yeah, what is your third dislike? Here we go.
My third dislike is I don't really know.
Okay.
I guess when it comes down to it, there is a line that I don't like.
Okay.
And I'm not going to get too political, but
okay.
But there's a line there in that ending part.
Oh,
where,
yeah, I know exactly what you're talking
where
about
she
now.
says, "My panda, my rules,
my
or
choice,
my life, or
yeah.
something."
Yeah, my panda, my choice,
something to that effect, and it's reminiscent of the "my body, my choice" thing.
Yeah,
I think it was a callback to that, but it wasn't an exact reference. It wasn't meant. It was meant to be like this is an easy line to write sort of a thing, and you'll know exactly what we're talking about, but we're not actually talking about what that is usually a connotation to.
Right.
And it was like that thing that's like, I'm for the most part, by this, even at we're at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Up until this point, I have been checked in with the film. I'm tracking with it.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden she says, "My panda, my choice." And I'm going, "Oh, I'm out of the movie."
You just pulled me out of it.
Just pulled me out. I'm glad you didn't say something like this an hour ago.
Mm-hmm.
At least you waited till the very end to pull this nonsense. It's not that you can't have that thought or think that. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
It's the simple fact that is based on a phrase that is popular nowadays, especially in the last 10, 15 years, being said in 2002.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what threw me out of this. It's like, oh, that's a continuity error. Or what do they call that? I can't think what it's called.
Yeah. It's taking a current reference.
It's taking a current thing and putting it in the past. Anachronistic. That is anachronistic, and you have done so well with without going anachronistic.
Yeah, agreed.
The whole film. Because this was not a straight comedy where they were pulling anachronisms out of their furry behinds the whole time. This is like the first time they threw an anachronism in there, and I went, "Oh, I'm watching a film." Okay. Anyway,
yeah, I totally get it.
Don't pull me out of the film until I see credits. That's the thing, because every time you've got me sitting in that seat with the movie playing, I am essentially in your care as for entertainment. You want to keep me watching that screen the entire time. You don't want me getting bored and looking at my phone or anything of that nature. So when I'm sitting there and all of a sudden you essentially shove this wedge in there because you really couldn't think of a better line to write and put there.
Right.
That all of a sudden it's like, okay, I'm out. How much of this movie is left?
Yeah, a couple of seconds.
Yeah, it's not long. But it's like, you were doing so good and you derailed at the last second.
In order to make more like a more current political point to shove into your movie that is based in the early aughts.
Yeah. This would have been just as this would have taken me just about out of it as if someone in that had said something to the effect of say they had some British person that happened to be near there and he said something about bow ties being cool. That's 2010 when Doctor Who said that.
True.
Because obviously this is not taking place in the Doctor Who universe. And just having, and I'm not saying it had to be Doctor. It could have been anyone wearing a bow tie, and someone made fun and they go, "Hey, bow ties are cool." That's like, I'm out. We've made a Doctor Who reference that's 10 years too early.
Agreed.
It would throw me out just as bad as that would.
Yeah.
And I know most people are going, it's just a joke. It's just an easy cliche that we can spout. You know what we're talking about. It's like, just because it's easy doesn't make it good.
That is true.
You need to uphold the level of quality of your filmmaking all the way to the end. Ideally, all the way to the final logo. Granted, I don't know how much you can do in credits, but
yeah,
you need to hold me as far as you can. You don't want to throw me out in the last 5 seconds.
Yeah, agreed.
Because throwing me out at the last 5 seconds, if this were a train ride and I jumped out while the train was still moving when there was only 5 blocks left of the trip.
Yeah.
That's still pretty bad because I'm still going to get hurt.
Yeah.
As it would if I'd have jumped out an hour ago while we were still in the middle of the countryside. Granted, one's worse than the other.
True.
Both are still bad, and you shouldn't do either one.
Agreed.
Anyway.
Yeah, like that exact scene be like when that happened, I was like, whoa. Because there again, contextual wise, we're in the early aughts of the 2000s, and you're talking about something that is more modern.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa, wait a minute. This phrase wouldn't have come into the lexicon until later.
In 2002, I was not aware of what was in the lexicon. So I'm not saying that this phrase could not have been going on at the time.
Right.
But I hadn't heard it.
Right.
I didn't hear it until like the early 2010s.
Yeah.
So I admittedly could be wrong.
Right.
I can always be wrong. I make mistakes.
Yeah, we all did.
I'll admit this. But this was, when I heard this, I went, okay, we just left the movie.
Yeah, completely had you disengaged.
It disengaged me completely. And that may not affect everyone.
Yeah.
I'll grant you, but it disengaged me at that time. But either way.
Yeah. All right.
I think that brings us to the end of the episode.
Yes.
Which means we need to rate this thing.
Yes.
What are you rating it?
I'm giving it a solid 8. I really enjoyed this film. It's very well done, animation-wise, character-wise. A lot of the story is very well done. The fact that they do a kaiju story in this is absolutely incredible. There again, I can thank my good friend and my brother for getting me into kaiju, or watching kaiju at least.
I was about to say, we didn't get you that far into kaiju.
No, you
because
didn't.
I don't think you've gone any farther than Godzilla or King Kong versus Godzilla or Godzilla 2004, King Kong Kong Skull Island, Godzilla King of the Monsters, and then Godzilla versus Kong.
Yeah.
Which I just realized actually is a lot of movies.
That is a lot of movies. Yeah.
It's just we haven't got you any farther than that.
Right. But
except Chase did make you watch Godzilla against Mechagodzilla once.
Oh yeah, that's right. So
anyways,
okay,
you've watched more kaiju movies than I gave you credit for. My apologies.
It's fine. So be like, it's refreshing when someone does this for a movie, and I really enjoyed this film. It's highly worth watching. It's definitely has those the family dynamics are very interesting that you would take with the mother-daughter, very similar to another Pixar film with Brave, which we'll get around to reviewing.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, I really enjoyed this film. What about you?
I'm giving it an 8.
Okay.
It's a fun movie. It has a good story about, listening to each other.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that it ends with a giant kaiju battle is just nice. So yeah, I'm giving it an 8.
Nice.
Actually, I did have a hard time coming up with dislikes, believe it or not.
Same here.
So we need to talk about our next movie, and we are actually continuing kind of this mini monster month that we did not intend to do.
Right.
But looking at what is coming up, that's kind of what we did.
Yeah.
We're going into How to Train Your Dragon 2.
Indeed.
Next week. So yeah, join us for that. But in the meantime, we need to jump into our review of this week's episodes of Rapunzel's Tangled Adventure.
Very good.
And the Masters of the Universe.
Thundercats are on the move. Thundercats are loose. DuckTales, woo!
Let's get dangerous.
Building a rocket or fighting a mummy or climbing up the Eiffel Tower.
The Pinky and the Brain.
This week we are reviewing the first episode, Mirror Mirror, directed by Joe O, written by Dave Schiff, and with a guest cast of Gavin Creel voicing introducing the character of Matthews.
Mm-hmm.
The summary for this episode: Rapunzel and her group come to a hospitable old estate, but they look into a mirror. When they look into a mirror, strange things happen.
Mm-hmm.
Getting into the trivia for this, the episode expanded further on Rapunzel's mutual antagonism with Uncle Monty.
Oh my gosh, yes. Yeah. Squish. Oh my gosh.
Yep, that's her.
That's her.
The title references the Grimm's fairy tale Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, in the original version of which the queen addresses her magic mirror with the words Spiegen an der Wand, wer ich die schönste in ganzen Land. which traditionally, if inaccurately translated to "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest one of all?" I am surprised I got through that German as
That
well
was
as I
good.
did.
That was pretty good.
Ironically, the 1937 Disney film of that story had changed "Mirror, mirror" though to "Magic Mirror."
Oh, okay.
Ulf, Old Lady Crowley, and Uncle Monty are mentioned during the episode by Rapunzel and Eugene's evil doppelgangers.
Mm-hmm.
This is the debut of Matthews. Pascal uses his camouflage ability to show Rapunzel what Old Lady Crowley and Ulf look like. And Eugene's mirror doppelganger made a reference to the episode Beyond the Corona Walls, in which Lance was bitten by the Baron's pet Kai spider.
Yes.
And that was the one that made me laugh. It says, turn into that, show me those colors that Lance turned into when he got bit by that spider. It's like, okay, that's funny.
That was funny.
And yeah, Pascal is a lot more you forget how talented he is at that.
Yes.
Because we haven't seen that since the movie.
Yeah, agreed.
So, because for the most part, we barely see him use his ability, his camouflaging at all throughout it. The only time I remember him actually doing it was in King Pascal.
Yeah.
When he was temporarily the color of the rocks.
True.
But anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah. What are your thoughts on this episode?
All right. So there again, we are in Rapunzel's Tangled Adventure Season 2, and this is episode 19 and in 18. So Mirror, Mirror.
Getting close to the end.
We are getting
of
close
season 2,
which I'm very excited to. So this one was interesting. We kind of get back into we're stuck in a place for a while, and these are very good episodes.
This is handling it so far, I think, better than the last couple, though the other two stuck in location for a while stuff. Because before this, of course, we had was it what is the name of that first town?
Oh, Varderos,
and then the island.
Yeah.
And those were kind of annoying to some degree.
In some, yes.
This is a lot better because it's like, okay, this feels like there's actually a reason we're here.
Yeah. Agreed. So going into this episode, be like, okay, so they're invited to stay the night at this Shell hotel
station.
The Shell station. Let's say that. Shell station. Good point.
I just thought of that.
Good point. So, and then it's just this whole amazing idea of the doppelganger, the character are your evil counterpart. That's the mirrorverse of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I love how they play it up with, it's like, wake up and be like, it's Shorty and it's I want to call him Bo, but his name's not Bo. Lance, thank you. And it's like, oh, okay. And then it's just more like, oh, okay. And then it's like, okay, it's got to be Cassandra. And Cassandra be like, it turns out, oh, Cassandra. But the one that threw me, the one that threw me the most
is the one that it makes the most sense that he would have been the first one to look at the mirror.
Eugene.
Yeah, because he was checking on his smolder.
Yeah, of course. And it's just more, it's like, oh, and they clue into you. It's like, oh, okay, where's Rapunzel's journal? And it's like, oh, okay, that's clever. The fact that the mirror version read her journal to get an adequate how
his mirror universe double read her journal.
Yeah, her
mirror universe thing didn't get out of the mirror long enough to do anything.
Yeah, exactly. Just got stuck with everybody else on the other side of the mirror. But this was a very well done, executed episode that was done very well. And you have there again, you have Rapunzel trying to get her friends out of the mirror, and it's just very well done. I really, really, really enjoyed this episode, and definitely where you're starting to get to the end of the journey, and it's getting very good. And like, this is what I love about the end of season 2. And yeah, I thoroughly enjoy Mirror Mirror. What about you?
So, as you can imagine, this reminds me of a classic original Star Trek, the original series episode of the same name.
Yeah.
In which Kirk, Uhura, Chekhov, No, not Chekhov. And two others whose names are escaping me at the moment.
Scotty?
Bones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was Bones, and it was Scotty. It was
Scotty.
Bones and Scotty.
Mm-hmm.
Those four get into a transporter accident on their way, beaming it back up to a planet from an ion storm, and suddenly find themselves transported into a evil universe, while their counterparts are transported to their universe.
Cool.
And this is kind of like, and now in that episode, we didn't see how they actually caught evil Kirk or her Bones and it's Scotty. We just see them in the brig at one point when someone asks, probably it's Scotty says, I wonder what our counterparts are getting up to over there. I forgot I had a Scottish accent. But anyway, we just see them, they're already locked up in the brig because it didn't take long to figure it out.
Right.
And there's a part of me wondering, and that's the thing, this episode is kind of the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
We are seeing how they figure out that the doppelgangers are the evil doppelgangers instead of trying to figure out how you get out of the evil universe.
Yeah.
Now, granted, we still get the how do we get out of the mirror, not really universe, but pocket dimension.
Yeah.
Magic dimension, whatever that's whatever that actually is.
Yeah.
We do get that, but admittedly, when I first started watching this episode, I knew you said there was an episode coming up where they got stuck in a house.
Yeah.
I had no idea. In my mind, when you said that, I thought that was like season 3. Did not realize that was the end of this season. So when we first met Matthews, I thought, did somehow the kid from Boy Meets World end up over here? Mr. Matthews? But no, I thought this is a kooky thing. And yeah, it's kind of weird that there's this shell house in the middle of nowhere, but how much odder than this is the Spire?
True.
In reality.
True. It gets cooler though. I know that.
I understand this. So I did not think about Matthews actually being evil other than he was the master of the house.
Yeah.
And they were running into trouble, and somehow Matthews was never there as they were having to deal with these evil doppelgangers, and he appears to be the only other person in the house besides them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there were questions there, but it's like, well, he's just a mysterious guy.
Yeah.
And I kept that thought until the very end of the episode when you see the axe slaying against the stump where the tree fell in front of the caravan.
Yeah. Like it was chopped down on purpose.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see what's going on. And I looked up what the next one was. I thought, okay, this is the house Jacob told me about. They are going to be here for a little bit. So, yeah, this was actually a fun episode, seeing what the quote-unquote evil versions of these characters are. And a lot of them make sense. It makes sense that Flynn / Eugene would be the easiest to fit in with himself because he's used to being other people, and he has studied himself more than he studied anybody else. So I can see evil Eugene being able to pull his normal self off pretty well, and pretty quickly. Cassandra, I mean, she was doing a pretty good job of hiding that she was the doppelganger for a bit until the very last second, when it's like, this has also reminded me of The Thing. That movie.
Really?
Well, think about it. You got to test everyone to see if they're really who they say they are.
True.
Except they're not going to turn into giant monsters when you take a sample of their blood. But
got it.
See, I may not watch a lot of horror movies, but I know of a lot of horror movies. But that was interesting. Lance. And I mean, they could have hit Lance real quickly. It's like, oh, look, a spider. And he goes, yeah, so what?
That would have
happened. That would have happened because he was that unbelievable as Lance.
Yeah.
But he was still not anywhere as unbelievable as his counterpart.
Oh my
Shorty.
It was like, It's like,
Now,
apparently you didn't
granted-
study this character at all.
Now, granted, Shorty, we saw him get took.
Yeah.
So him, keeping him a surprise really wasn't that big a deal.
True.
But at the same time, it's like, wow, Shorty is so strange that even evil Shorty can't pretend to be Shorty.
Mm-hmm.
He literally took the evil counterpart directly. So, okay, I'll work with that. So yeah, it was a fun episode trying to guess who's the bad guys, who's the good guys. And even there for a short bit, I was curious, did the real Rapunzel escape? Or did she get thrown in the mirror?
True.
I kind of knew she had to escape because that was the only way that was going to end.
Mhm.
Unless Pascal was going to quickly become like the hero of the story again after King Pascal, which is
Right.
not out of the question.
Right.
He would pull it off, but they'd already done their Pascal episode this season. So I didn't think that's where they were going to go.
I got you.
But anyway, it's not the first time they've gotten out of a scrape like this, considering
True.
Freebird.
Yeah, Freebird. Agreed.
But anyway, next episode, shall we?
Yeah.
Next episode is You're Kidding Me.
Mm-hmm.
Directed by Joe O and written by Kelly Hannon. This guest cast includes Gavin Creel returning as Matthews, Cassie Glow as Kid Cassandra, and Blake Moore as Kid Lance. Summary is, in search of a way out of the old estate, everyone but Rapunzel and Eugene turn into little children. The title of this episode, getting into the trivia, in the German title of the episode translates to No Child's Play. It is revealed during the episode that spinning tops were Cassandra's favorite toy when she was young. Cassandra crying out, "Best playtime ever!" is a nod to Rapunzel's line, "Best day ever!" in Tangled. This is also the second time she has made a nod to the line, followed from the episode Not in the Mood.
Mm-hmm.
And I know this is a sad one for you, Jacob, considering this is one of your favorite shows, but this is the only appearance of any dogs or puppies in the show.
Yeah. But they are cute puppies.
They are cute puppies. And I hadn't occurred to me, it's like, dude, we haven't even seen wolves. Not really.
No, not really.
It's just like, you're right. The only animal we've actually seen has been a gopher.
Well, we've seen gophers. We've seen badger wolves.
Which weren't really wolves.
No, they're more badger than
and bees. We can't forget the bees.
That is true.
Poor Max.
Poor Max. Oh my gosh. Yeah,
Bees. My
bees.
God. No, not the bees.
Huh?
Why do you have that in a mug? It's been like, what, 10 episodes since we did that? We're still making this joke.
Yes.
But yeah, I still can't believe this is the first time we've actually seen dogs
Yeah.
in this episode.
That is
in the
true.
show. And apparently we'll never see them again.
That is sad.
We have seen raccoons.
We have seen raccoons. We've seen mega raccoons.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Varian.
Yeah. Oh, but yeah, this is another good episode. This is where there again we're in this very bizarre house, and like again, Cassandra's favorite toy was a top. It was like, okay,
that
that's
makes sense.
it makes sense.
I haven't seen a top like that kind though in a long time.
Uh-huh.
The old style top.
Yeah. So
The most in recent years, the only tops I've seen are Beyblades.
that is true. That's more like
Let it rip.
yeah.
Really, let it rest in peace.
Yeah, apparently my little cousin is into Beyblade. Now, granted, he's like 7, I think.
Well, that's fair. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a kid's thing.
It's a good thing.
It's
but-
just one of the more annoying kids things out there.
Agreed. Yeah, this episode in general is good. You have this conflict of Eugene and Rapunzel of how children should be raised, and I find it unique that Eugene is the disciplinarian, harsh character, which
Mhm.
makes sense because Rapunzel would be the we listen to you and your thoughts matter and that kind of stuff. Which they're both very good
Yeah.
But they have good and weak.
Problem is they're paired up with the wrong kid to relate to that.
That is true.
Because every kid is different.
Very true. You can't treat every child the exact same.
Right.
It's a good episode where there again you get a young Lance who is just
funny.
It was very funny.
Both him and young Cassandra were the funniest characters the show has had in a while.
That is true. And then just Shorty is just Shorty.
A baby.
Is a baby. And is
because I'm sitting there going, why is Shorty a baby? Shouldn't he be like a teenager at this point? And then Matthew says, oh yes, the top of whatever it was called. The older you are when you when you spin it, the younger you become.
Shorty's
Good
gonna be
night. He must have been ancient.
Yeah, he's like maybe like I think Eugene says be like, oh, he's like in his 30s, maybe 70s,
maybe 90s. We don't really
know. He's old, but it's
the running gag.
It is the very running gag. He is an old character, but it's a good episode. It's these two characters trying to come to a compromise. They got to do this one thing, and it's the very typical. We've got a problem. We've got to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
And then the ending of this episode, if I'm remembering correctly.
Oh, yes. You are remembering correctly. It's like the mirror didn't stop them.
The
top didn't stop them. But I swear, my lord, I will keep the sun drop in this house forever.
And he shuts the door. Oh, my crap.
And I'm thinking, holy crap, they're actually working this into the story and it's not filler.
Exactly.
Because so much of the other times they've been stuck in one place has been filler.
I'd be like, oh my gosh, it turns the door is
now,
like, oh, it's Santiri.
Now, granted, the others are like character driven filler, so I let it go for the most part. But this is like, wait, this is moving the plot along, and I didn't realize it. There are things in the trivia I had to edit out because it was like, oh, Matthews is secretly the servant of this character who hasn't officially been shown off in the show yet. I say officially because technically he hasn't been in the show already.
Yes. We'll get there when we get there.
Stupid monkey.
Oh, I love that character. But we'll get there when we get there.
When we get there.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway.
Yes.
This is a good episode. It was fun to watch. I feel sorry for the puppies, but then maybe they'll get better upbringing this time and won't be as mean.
I say nothing.
The puppies?
I'm not saying anything.
This is the only thing the puppies and dogs show up in, according to my trivia. What are you
I'm saying nothing.
Poor puppies. Poor puppies.
Zip.
Anyway. Are you ready to zip this thing up?
Yes, let's zip this thing up.
So next week we're reviewing 2 more episodes. I don't have listed in front of me at the moment, but I can bring that up.
Rapunzel-topia.
Rapunzel-topia, I think, is one of them.
It is.
And then the other one is Lost and Found.
Yeah, Lost and Found. There we go.
Yeah. So that's what we're doing next week. So join us then. But in the meantime, this has been Drew.
This is Jacob.
And we'll catch you in the next frame.
You can follow Jacob on his Facebook at Jacob B. Heron. His Facebook page, Jacob's Daily Art Corner, where he tries to draw each and every day. His Instagram at Jacob B. Heron. His Twitter at Jacob Heron. And his Letterboxd at Jacob Heron. You can find Drew on Facebook at Drew Dodgen. His Facebook page, Drew's Photobin, to see his photography. His Letterboxd page at GGeorge759. His Twitter at GGeorge759. And Instagram at Drew Dodgen. You can like us on Facebook at the Cellcast Podcast. On Twitch at the Cellcast Gaming. On YouTube at Cellcast. On Twitter at cast_cell. The Cellcast can be found at Apple Podcasts, Google Play Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, or anywhere else fine podcasts are downloaded from. Please rate and review us where you found us, and also on Podchaser. Email us at thecellcastpodcast@gmail.com. The Cellcast is a proud member of both the Pop Americana and Culture Box media networks. For more information, please see the link in the description. Our theme song is Drop and Roll by Silent Partner. And remember, that's Cell, with a single L.
Want to go run chase?
So cute and fluffy.